if you were to kind of launch a product, whether that be info or D2C, although they are slightly different, and bring something to market, where would you start? Maybe with like the ICP or target demographic and truly understanding the wants, needs, or desires and pain point of the person that you're going to market to, really getting into that mind frame of who they are, and then building the product off the back of that, or maybe even the other way around, building the product and then trying to identify the market, who it actually serves best. Yeah, for sure. And I think given the current landscape, I think it's even worth mentioning, like, how do political campaigns work? If you really think about it, it applies to e-commerce, it applies to info products, everything that the politicians actually promote, all can get broken down into demographics, avatars, the language that people used when they communicate about their pains, about their wants, their desires. And even if you take it a step further, which I had to do specifically when looking back at my lineage, specifically looking back at things that have worked well and why people believe the way that they believe, is what propaganda have they embodied from prior campaigns that have happened in that market. So if we look at politics, obviously the right side has an agenda, the left side has an agenda, and it's been reinforced over a period of time. So if I was to insert myself into something like that, that has a big foothold and a big stronghold of hammering your ICP with indoctrination and messaging of a certain type, I have to figure out how I can make mine either align with that or be a different mechanism than that. So when I look at e-commerce specifically, if I look at weight loss, because it's kind of easy for people to recognize it there. If I look at weight loss, people have been pitched keto. People have been pitched V-Shred or whatever that guy's name is. People have been pitched Kino Body. These different ways to achieve the six-pack result without actually having to do a lot of workouts or change their diet rigorously. So if you look in the past, you can kind of see what angles were working with them, and you can choose to either reinforce that and just be better. So pick off where they kind of dropped off and reinforce those beliefs are still possible, or switch the mechanism and that it's better than the prior methods. So if I look at skincare as another example, I had a huge beauty brand that I had worked with. And if you look at everything in a traditional sense, they always talk about, your skin looking a certain way, fitting into certain crowds, but not a lot of people, at least with this brand that we were working with, were highlighting the insecurities and touching on the pain point of, like, this is the thing that's holding you back from being your natural feminine self. So what we crafted there, and the go-to-market strategy for that, was to unleash what's underneath. And that brand was underneath skincare. So there's little plays on words that you can do, but what you're selling is the psychology of the belief that they can obtain that result. And so long that your product or service is actually obtaining that, then you have no problem to use those kind of tactics. So again, how I look at ecom is, it's either reinforcing the old way and it's just a new package, a new design, etc., or it's a new mechanism. And the ones that have new mechanisms are the ones that typically go further, because if you just reinforce a prior belief, you're not really changing anything. The market's already there, and the consumer is having to choose between your skincare product and this skincare product. There's not much of a difference. They're really going to look at price. But if it's a new mechanism to get to XYZ, they're willing to try it. And that's what I think a lot of e-com entrepreneurs don't really understand when they're building brand, is like, yes, they tried it, but now you have to continue to reinforce those beliefs that is still possible with your product suite and with your product offering. So the lotion, the skincare, the mascara, whatever, people want to do for their skincare lines, the lifetime value of e-com, the business starts once you get the first purchase. And there's a lot of work that goes into getting that first purchase, but the business starts once that first purchase occurs. Yeah, I think you just dropped a huge amount of value there, especially into kind of the psychology behind it. I've never heard anyone compare it to politics, which I really liked the analogy. Not that I really keep up to date with it as much as I probably should. But yeah, very interesting to see it from that side. And as well, talking about kind of getting that first sale, I think if you haven't done ecom, a lot of people probably don't appreciate the amount of work that kind of goes into doing that. And just to hear that first cha-ching or see that first sale come through after all the marketing efforts is always a really nice feeling. But how do we get to that point? How do we get that first sale? So we understand now who we're marketing to. We've got to build the product or the mechanism around that. How do we then apply what we've learned in our market research and what the data is showing into the funnel and start kind of crafting that to then essentially get it out to market and work towards that first sale?
Yeah. So with Ecom, everything is digital for the most part. If you're talking about marketing campaigns, yes, you can do, brand partnerships, partner up with the gym to carry your product, that kind of stuff, just build some foot presence. But if you're trying to compete in digital, the reason why I brought up politics is because that's who you're competing against. Like the most recent headlines are pretty insane. So how are you going to get that attention when that was a historic moment that just occurred, for at least US politics? You're also competing against people like the Kardashians and all that kind of stuff that can get that engine behind them to give them the attention. So some people don't even think like they don't even know who their competitors are. Competitors aren't the competing e-commerce skincare company. It's the attention mechanism. So sometimes orienting your focus to where attention is going, like you said, with brand research or market research, here's what the market's telling us. It's not just incubated in that market of skincare, for example. It can be cross-pollinated with different things, which allows you to create a new creative that goes viral organically, or it allows you to tie that into your mechanism and you get free distribution. So when it comes to how the funnels work, the difference between someone doing a high ticket service offering, which is usually what I do. A lot of people that I've worked with, I've consulted on offers to help scale them to, 7 and 8 figures and that stuff, have mostly looked at it from the high ticket space. So if you guys aren't familiar, people who hit a landing page, they watch some sort of video, they book a call, and there's an over the phone sale, offline conversion event. When someone does that type of mechanism, the iceberg, the tip of the iceberg is the landing page. Everything underneath is your sales processes, all the scripts that you have for each part of the sales process, the objections and mapping your sales argument. So that way, when they occur on the sales call, the sales rep has the proper communication, the right messaging to overcome that. Now, there's obviously basic sales skills, but for the most part, they all fall under 4 main categories. Hey, it's not the right time. I'm not the decision maker. I have the wrong product, or I can't afford it, the price. Those are the 4 main objections. And so when you script out that stuff from a sales perspective over the phone, it's how do I see the real objection behind what they're telling me to actually solve that problem? And then you guide them whether or not your service is the right service. Be ethical with it. Ecom, that same level of granularity has to occur because your landing page is your sales team. Your email marketing flows post pop-up opt-in is your sales team. Your retargeting ads is your sales team. And quite frankly, you may not know exactly what objections are resonating right away, but if you map it out and you create the same creative, but the difference being what the problem or what the product solves, what problem is it solving, over and over and over and over and over, you'll then be able to see which one is resonating most. So one of the best examples, because AG1 is killing it right now, is their product, their main green supplement. If you go onto Facebook ad library and you see all their retargeting images and videos, they probably have 10, 20 different ones at any given time, times the 6 objections that they run into. So 25 times 6, that's how many creatives are going out. Now, they'll optimize, they'll turn ones off, they'll turn other ones on, etc. But they do that on Google, they do that on YouTube, they do that on GDN, they do that on Facebook, they do it everywhere to really see what people are resonating with on each platform. So if you come in from an ad that talks about gut issues and you get hit with this is going to solve your gut problem, this is going to give you less constipation, this is going to give you a flatter stomach, those are 3 things that are to the gut video. Versus if I wanted to have all my vitamins for having less degradation in the way my skin looks, well, then I may talk about collagen. I may talk about other things behind that because that's where they came in and that's what they resonated with. So Ecom, the landing page and the first creative is the tip of the iceberg. Your ability to meet the customer with where they're at in the buying cycle and the customer journey will determine how effective your ads and the return on your ads really is. So if you map it out from that perspective and treat your creatives and your marketing for Ecom like a sales team and actually put in that effort into the graphic, into the animation, into the creativity behind it, then you'll get the results.